Welcome everyone to the BAI Show. My name's James Rankin and I am here with Tiffany Browne from Buyers Agents Adelaide, plural on the agents. Welcome, Tiffany. Thanks so much for coming along.
Thanks for having me today.
Of course, of course. So, like, these podcasts have been very, very useful for a lot of people who are coming into the industry, those that are in the industry as well. And someone that I've wanted on the program for a while, or on the show for quite a while, is Tiffany Browne, because of her, I guess, tenacity on making this work and just the absolute relentlessness to strive and get better and just always getting better. I think that's probably one of the best ways that I can describe you, having known you. There's no stone unturned in your process and very detail oriented. And that definitely shines through to how your clients perceive you and the way that they interact with you. But I know that's been a long intro and longer than most. But Tiffany, tell us a little bit about yourself. What's happened in the last 3 years, and then we can jump after that to find out a little bit more about where you've come from. But yeah, more probably in the last 3 years or 2 years that I've known you as well.
Sure, James. So, well, look, 3 years ago was the beginning of my journey as a buyer's agent. So I was in the real estate industry running a boutique brand, and that was fantastic. And then I decided to get my land agent's license, and I was thinking about selling. And then one decision to help a buyer changed all of that. So it was very organic the way that this happened and the beginning of this journey. And a buyer needed help. So that was the beginning of my journey as a buyer's agent, and I genuinely wanted to help that person. Since then, I actually won Buyer's Agent of the Year within that following year, having got some really great momentum helping both home buyers and investors, and continue to grow and develop in the space, build my relationships with people in the industry, and earlier this year launched Buyers Agents Adelaide, so which has been rapidly growing since, and I'm thrilled to be where we are today in such a short space of time.
So in the boutique agency, rather, you were still working as a buyer's agent, right? Like, you never flipped into sales. You were working there as the buyer's agent, like running that department.
That's right. That's right. So fortunately, so that was a sales team with property management. And fortunately, because I was a leader in that organization and had trust, I was able to develop a division within that company, which was to serve buyers. And yeah, so I was doing that until launching my own brand. And it did work quite well. It was because it was a smaller brand. I was still liaising with agents from every other company around Metro Adelaide, but it worked really well.
And launching into your own business now, that's been going, when was that you
officially? Very early June.
Very early June. Yeah.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about that. Like, I know you were wanting to do that for quite some time. Like, it was always there on the goals list. And then when you pulled the trigger on it, how has it gone so far?
Yeah, look, as you know, I'm a person that doesn't make decisions on a whim. So it's definitely carefully thought through, but it was definitely something I was thinking about for some time. But I really loved the team I was working with, so it was a tough decision to make. However, now I'm able to, being independent, I'm also able to offer other services that, again, has also happened very organically, such as vendor advocacy, and really, making sure that everybody is served in such a tailored way. So it's been lightning. I could say, the quantum jumps that have happened in my life since since that one meeting with that buyer. There's been so many significant things that have happened, and yeah, it was a excellent decision. Like I probably could have made it earlier. However, I believe in, everything is all about divine timing. So that was the time that it was meant to happen. And my team's growing quite rapidly and they're doing so well. So I'm really proud of them. Mm.
And signups as well is
Mm.
going quite extraordinary.
Yes. That's right. That's right. So it's really become an attraction business. And I guess, the hard work and the effort that I've put in previously with those relationships with mortgage brokers, accountants, financial planners, are really starting to, to multiply and compound in a positive way. So I don't do any marketing. I was part of a networking group, but all of this networking happens very organically now. And
So
people are coming to
that's
me.
something that I probably wanted to deep dive on. You are someone that does the grunt work. Like you will just get in there. You know that you've been around real estate agents as well, because I think those people that do get exposure to a real estate agency and like a real estate agent business, they see how hard they work. Like they freaking grind those guys and girls, right? So you were there, you're in the mix. It was kind of like, if I'm not working as hard as that, like that was just the new bar
Mm.
was set. Like when you see the level of activity that they do, obviously not knowing what you were doing beforehand, but in those early days, what did it look like, for you jumping into the industry?
The first 12 months, look, if you could plot it on a graph, which I used to, I have a magic whiteboard along one whole entire side of the room at home. And, I was plotting that growth and you would see it starts to look like this. So everything is slow in the beginning. You're learning. So I think, really just falling in love with the activity is the key, So maybe I had one client for the first month, then maybe 2 months later, I had 2 clients in that next month. And that's slowly, gradually increased to having, consistently, 8 to 10 clients a month, which we do now. But certainly I was willing to put the time and effort in that's needed. I think when you focus on something, then what you focus on expands. So you need to be willing to put the time in. And it's the same with our body. It's the same with our fitness regime. At a certain point in time, something will click and then it will just shoot off from there. So the activity that you're doing every day, even though it may not feel like you're growing as rapidly as you want to, it's laying the foundation. So whilst it was, slow, I was very aware that I was learning and working out what I was actually doing and making some mistakes along the way, like we all do.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And that does not surprise me at all. Like in terms of your methodology behind it. And a couple of things jump to mind. It's like if you're wanting to get back, or if you wanted to start running, for instance, I've used this before. If you wanted to run a marathon or half a marathon or 10Ks or 5Ks, whatever it is, you've never ran before, you have to build those foundations. You know what I mean? You just kind of have to like build the base, and then you can start to layer on some, more endurance or strength. But
Mm.
you mentioned something, falling in love with the activity. I find that something for most people like hard to accept or like hard to decipher. What's your take on that? Like, what's your belief around that?
Look, I think probably at least 10 years ago, maybe more, one of my mentors said to me, fall in love with the process, not the outcome. And so a quick example with when it comes to fitness. So I've recently jumped back right into my yoga and my Pilates and decided, no, I'm not looking for a tangible result, the actual goal, or the routine goal, because the ultimate goal is that we want whatever that is, that will come. But the routine goal is creating the routine, and the goal there is go to that session, get there. That's the hardest part at the beginning. So get there. But falling in love with the process and not the outcome. If you're attached to the outcome, you say, I want to have 4 clients this month. I'm starting off, I need to do this. And therefore, if I don't do that, I failed. And therefore, if I don't achieve that, I'm not successful. Break it down into, I'm going to commit to X amount of time this week. And while you're exchanging, you might still be working in a day job, or a full-time position or a part-time position. So you decide what hours you're exchanging at that point for the activity, for the process. And that might be 4 hours this week. I'm going to meet 4 mortgage brokers, including travel time. Or I'm going to meet 3 mortgage brokers, including travel time. My objective is to create a connection with them so that we find some ways that we can help each other. And they know that they've got a property concierge that they can call and support their clients and add value. So falling in love with the process, rather than they're going to I want those mortgage brokers to refer me business. It's creating relationships with people, and that could be a 6 to 8 month process before that button clicks over and you start to create momentum.
It's so true, and I'm glad that you explained it that way, because you said a couple of key points around, like, people, say fall in love with the process, and it's still like, what the hell does that mean? Like, fall in love with the process, but the outcome, like not falling in love with the outcome or not being obsessed about the outcome, whilst they're good, it's the dollar number that we get fixated on, right? Like, it's the dollar number for most people. It's like, I want to earn $300,000 a year or $30,000 a month, whatever that is. And it's, in our world, it's like clients. It's this, how many clients have you signed this month is kind of like your badge of honor. And I don't know why it's become that way, because we've had clients work at all sorts of levels, or we've had buyers agents work at all sorts of levels. We know Katie, sort of $100,000 fee average. Like, that's very different to someone working at like $8,000. So it doesn't really matter how many clients. But anyway, that aside, it starts off with the dollars, and then it goes to, which is your overall outcome, like goal, uh, clients served, and then it might go through to conversation. So you might need to have X amount of conversations with people wanting the service. And then there's referral partners. But to get to the referral partners, you need to have more conversations. So you've got to have X amount of conversations to get to your referral partners, who will refer to you clients, allow you to have conversations with them, move them into clients, purchase for them, get your fee. Like, it's the reverse engineer of the outcome. And that's what it is, right? Like, that's pretty much what it is.
Absolutely what it is. And a tool that I use in saying, or in measuring exactly what you've articulated, James. I actually have a banking background, so there was macro models, if people are into maths and accounting and management accounting, forecasting tools, macro tools that I had visibility to, that a team that I was with used. And I created the best version that I could create when I was in the previous company that I was in, and then remodeled that again for where I am now. And yes, it's what is the overall outcome? Sure, it's great to have that there. We know what that is. But then breaking it down, what is that month by month, including seasonal shifts and where people are buying or not buying, and then working that back to say, well, if it's X amount per month, then what's my average conversion? What's my average commission? It could be, let's say if it was 10,000, and then how many people do I need to speak to convert that? What's my conversion rate? Do I speak to 5 people and sign up 3? What's my conversion rate? So knowing those numbers are so important to then work it back to that daily activity.
So important. Like, I know it's one of the things we teach early on. Just, you got to get out there and speak to people, right? Like, it's just speak to people, speak to people, speak to people. Like, one of the early metrics we say, for mortgage brokers, for instance, at least in my experience and speaking to a lot of people throughout Everest, it's proven time and time again, it's about 5% of the people that you speak to, conversations that you'll have with referral partners. Yes, some people might be better at doing that if they've got like a business development background and they're quite good at nurturing those relationships. But generally, people will go out and have 100 conversations, and only 5 of those people will build, or will sort of have the traits to build a solid referral base. And that can lead to a very successful business. Like, there's people in Everest doing over $500,000, $600,000 with 2 to 3 referral partners. So you don't need many.
No.
but that's sort of the numbers. So if you've got to have that many conversations, that's your goal. Like if you want to get to 2 referral partners, you need to have, 50 conversations with them. So yeah, very, very key. So that's like, we can touch on your finance background then, because the finance background has led you to this. Did that help with your like systems processes? You were already a sort of a detailed person, analytical at that point, jumping into the finance world?
Yeah, it definitely helped, that experience that I had in banking in multiple areas, including operational risk. So that has, I've always had a risk management mindset around the decisions that I make, even not to stand too close to the lights when you're crossing the road, because that half a second that you save could cost you your life. So what's more important? It's your life. So just stand a couple of, meters back from the light.
Is that
Um,
from like takeoff?
that's-
Like if you
oh, well,
take
this is
off?
if you're standing at the traffic lights, and this was a risk workshop that I remember years ago at the bank with one of the leading experts in risk, operational risk, and he said, yeah, if you're standing at the traffic lights to walk across the road, lots of people sort of stand on the top of the traffic light to get that half a second more. Well, what's the risk? The risk is that a car could lose control and take your life or hit you. What's the impact of that? You could lose your life. So how do you want to, remove the risk? Do you want to manage the risk, or do you want to deal with it when it comes? And my suggestion would be stand back and remove that risk by standing back. So that definitely, that risk mindset is really layered in everything that I do, in the decisions that I make as a leader, and as a buyer's agent, looking at things that can go wrong. And that's why I'm very detailed when I look at property for my clients, as detailed as we can. We're not professing to be building inspectors, but we've seen a lot of the things that the building inspector will see, and we know a lot of the things that are coming. And if it's
Yeah.
not the right fit, we can turn them away.
Pretty good sales point, or sales attribute, I guess, or USP to have, for your clients, having that sort of level of detail and thought process on, yeah, what you're going through, because that just means you're not going to get them into a risky situation. You know what I mean? Like if you're that way with yourself, most people, like most business owners, are even more risk adverse with their clients. So yeah, I find that to be the case. So rewinding a little bit further, what were you doing before the finance world?
Well, I was in banking for quite some time. So that was really my first entry into the corporate world, or
Got it.
into the working world, was into banking and finance. So
Straight into there.
into corporate, that's right. So I had a number of different roles in there, and experienced, I was in the funding team when the previous property boom happened in 2000, and, well, I won't say the year, but if you want to look it up. Can't give it all away. But I was there for a little while. So I was there for over 10 years. So that was, and then I worked in a small business before getting into real estate, but that all happened very sort of organically, as things do.
Got it. Yeah, yep. And that makes total sense. Like absolutely total sense. That flick on between, and didn't want to be a mortgage broker, like didn't have the sort of appeal to go and be a mortgage broker.
No, not at any point, to be honest, not at any point.
No, it's fun. It's just funny. Like that's usually the natural progression for people in the finance world, is like, yeah, I'm out of the bank and I'm going to go and open a finance company. But you flicked into real estate. So the vision of the real estate like opportunity when you got to the end of your banking, was it like you were given the opportunity to work with this buyer? Like what was that transition like for you?
So I was already in the real estate industry for a few years, and then I had completed my land agent's license. I was looking at the positioning of the sales function and getting into that space. And it was in that, in those few months that somebody that I highly respect and regard, a friend of mine who I've known for a long time, said, I know someone that really needs help. And I said that if anyone can help them, it will be you. And I thought, okay, the pressure's on. But how can I help this person? Just genuinely wanted to help them. And coming from that place of service, coming from the heart, just coming from a very authentic place of, okay, they're having difficulty. How can I help them and make it economically viable as well to put my time there? That was then I realized that there was such a thing as a buyer's agent, because I didn't really know that before. So there was a lot of researching and delving into this space to then actually position that and charge a fee for that service. And then we were going through COVID at that point, so no one could travel, and that was all happening at that point in time.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was crazy time, wasn't it, in terms of access and the requirement of us just to go and look at properties. And there was a lot of transition, transient sort of people moving between states and like probably getting out of Victoria. So when you started the new business, or let's just say like becoming a buyer's agent, what has that allowed you to do? Like personally, obviously within your business as well, but is there anything in particular that stands out on what this opportunity has allowed you to do?
Where do I start, James?
I know a couple of cool ones.
I was genuinely reflecting on this, and I realized that my life has quantum jumped multiple times since becoming a buyer's agent. And really none of this was planned. However, the process was very clearly planned, structured, documented. All of that foundation was laid. What has it allowed me to do? It's allowed me to further build my property portfolio. So that's one thing, to the point where even 12 or even earlier this year, I moved into another property which has become my owner occupied residence, and I didn't think that was possible. And I saw it off market, and I thought, oh, as I often would say, if I don't buy this for my client, I might buy it for myself. And I did, and I thought, I was quite shocked when I explored that opportunity with my wonderful mortgage broker, and I genuinely was quite shocked. I thought, wow, that's just reflective of what has happened in the last couple of years. But of course, travel, I love traveling, and that helps me to really reset, reflect, elevate into the next new space. And that, stepping away and isolating sometimes can help us to, transform and shed the layers into the next, best version of ourselves. So definitely travel, planning for the future. And whilst I still work very, very hard, and my hours, I do dedicate to a huge amount of my time to serving my clients, I obviously can choose what I do with my time. That is a choice, and that is a very special gift, particularly when, we have curveballs that can happen, and, aging family, aging parents, as inevitably we do.
For sure. And location of where you operate from as well, right? Like you can choose where you want to work from. Local, at your an associate or a business sort of colleagues spare room, or maybe abroad as well, right? Like if you did want to travel,
That's
you've got the
right.
options.
Yeah, I spent a few months last year uh, overseas, within another project, and everything was able to continue to happen, continue to work seamlessly. And that also requires effort and structure, and training people and making sure that they will duplicate the process the way that you would, and deliver that in the way that you would if they're looking at a property, on my behalf. So yeah, that's very, very valuable.
I think that was probably one of the biggest things, and I forget about it sometimes. Like I work with you on your business and understand what's going on, but sometimes I forget that you had all that time off, or that you do like traveling. You know what I mean? Because your business is just flying along, like absolutely steamrolling along. Getting the messages from you saying just signed up another 4 clients, like it almost just sort of fell in to the business without much effort. I know the effort that goes involved in that and what the lead up to was,
Mm.
but you are like just on this trajectory. You know what I mean? Like it's just working for you, and you're enjoying life. you bought a new home, you bought a new car. Like it just seems like it's all going quite well. So what does it look like? I try not to talk too far in the future because, who knows, you'll have a ton of options in the future. The next 6 to 12 months, what are your goals? Or like
Uh,
what would be a great outcome for you?
yeah, that's actually something that I think about every day. Why, what do we actually want to, I think it's a really important question because as things do grow, you have to decide, do you want to scale your business? What do you actually want to do? And so I things are going really well. So my goal is to continue to, have weekly goals around elevating into the next learning with my team. So I'm really structured and disciplined around training my team and making sure that I also create opportunities for, for people to committed and disciplined people to actually join me and to learn from me and work together. So I get very creative around how that can work. But I'd like to, I'd like to continue with the momentum, continue to grow from where I am personally, but also maintain that consistent level in which we're operating now, and continue to build those really strong relationships. I do still plan to buy purely in South Australia, where I currently buy now. But there's probably a few things in the works.
That's it. Buyers agents, WA, New South Wales, Victoria, hey, coming up soon. Or no, Perth, Melbourne, Sydney. There you go. That's what the new versions will be, or the extension of what you've got going on. But yeah, look, it's pretty amazing, like what you've done and that consistent effort. But the like what you were saying before is now starting to build in the projection and the yeah, like what's coming next. You know what the market cycles are doing. You've been in the industry for some years now to understand that there's those fluctuations, because I do try to catch people's blind sides with that. Like I've been through a ton of cycles and can see what's coming and plan for that. The year has changed. Like I think after COVID, our cycle, throughout the year has changed quite a bit.
Mm.
But what's Adelaide like at the moment, like in terms of purchasing?
Mm.
Pretty strong for investors.
We've had a very, very strong year, all year, and I'm seeing an ever so slight softening. And I've seen that with some of the recent deals, uh, achieving even better results in terms of price. I believe that that could be associated to Christmas time, home buyers, owner-occupied families, groups of people are a little bit more cautious around Christmas coming. So, not overdoing it with the offers, and perhaps waiting for, what might happen with rates. I do believe though, as soon as that drops, that there will be another little mini boom. There's still very, very strong demand. So later today, I'm meeting with 4 or 5 people that are interested in working with me, with my team and and so that, yeah, there's quite strong demand still that's coming through. But again, what I do also see is more and more agents are open to doing business off market and seeing that that can be viable for many reasons, and perhaps taking that little bit more tailored approach, and realizing that particularly downsizers being such a large group in our economy and our country, they perhaps need a little bit more TLC and a little bit of a different process offered to them, where it's much easier for them and streamlined so that they can vacate their property
Mm,
without people coming through and having to do all of these things that it's just too much for them. So I'm seeing, I'm seeing some more tailored approaches with real estate agents in the way that they're operating, and a lot more off-market opportunities every week. I'm getting a lot more phone calls from agents that I haven't got a strong relationship with, new agents, new opportunities, which is great.
100%. Like that's the buyer's agent market. That's what we talk about inside of BAI, inside of Everest. This buyer's agent market, which is just becoming more and more apparent, like what you just said. So there's a need from the vendor side, from outside of the traditional realestate.com or putting a board up out the front, there's a shakeup coming. Like it's just there where agents, yeah, if they can sell it, and something that you've said and it always sticks in my head, how can I make this easier for you? Or how can I make this, transaction as easy as possible for you? Like that's what you're telling the agent. And that's ultimately what they want. You know what I mean? If they can sell the property for a good price, do you think they want to, and the vendors want to run this stressful campaign for 4 weeks, possibly go to auction, whatever it is, or they sell it from maybe 2 opens, or like just 2 run throughs of a property with, maybe 1 or 2 groups of professionals, and then they bring their clients through? I know what I'd choose. If I was going to get the number that I wanted, or that the market's willing to pay. Yeah, I think I really think it's the way we're going to see property progress.
And also I think now, as I meet with, I'm finding that younger, or just young, new happen to be young, but they're newer agents coming into the industry, selling agents. I met one last week who was very savvy around seeing the value in 400 or 400 timesing their profit or their income by looking at, okay, only one person buys the house that they're selling. What about all those people, those other 4, at least 3 or 4 parties that they know exactly what they want, they know exactly of their financial situation because they've done their due diligence, introducing them to a buyer's agent, and then having that buyer's agent connect them on a video call like this, or a coffee, or some way to reconnect them. And that buyer will always remember, the only reason I met Tiffany was because of that agent. I will sell when I'm ready to sell with that agent, if he or she keeps in touch with them. So yeah, I'm starting to see there's a little bit more openness around that as a new idea to actually help real estate agents, selling agents increase their income.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like it's so true. If you've got one house to sell and you've had 5 offers, only one person can buy it. What do you do with the other 4? Yeah, you can either no one, follows them up or has another house to sell them. But if they referred them onto a buyer's agent and they had 1 sign up out of that 4, yeah, they've doubled their commission probably for that house. Because of the referral fee. We could talk forever. Like I know we could just keep going and going and going. But mindful of the audience and the time that we've gotten to, as a established buyer's agent, someone that's come from finance, like a technical background, moving through to the real estate world, on that advice piece to prospective buyers agents, like thinking about coming into the industry, or those that have started, they might be part of BAI but yet to get hit the ground running. Have you got any words of advice for them to what they should be focusing on in those early days?
Of course. I think, look, 3 tips would be, which I can go into a little bit. So 1, find a mentor. Okay, so find someone that's experienced in this space in your geographical area, that you can meet, that you can mentor, that can mentor you. Somebody that you're going to obviously resonate with, that you do resonate with, maybe you've seen them. And that mentoring can be formal or informal, but having someone that can guide you, and it might even be joining their team. But simply reach out to them. And most successful people genuinely want to help others. We all want to see everybody succeed. So finding someone that can be your mentor, and also someone that believes in you. I think that's one thing that you've always believed in me, James, and that's really made a difference for me. So find someone that believes in you. It might not be that same person, might be someone else, but that's really important. Someone that's going to believe in you when maybe you don't, at the times when you don't. Number 2, success leaves clues. So offer your time to an established buyer's agent. Maybe go out with them for the day when they're looking at property, learn from them, offer to help them, maybe deliver some gifts for them, or whatever you can do to help them in exchange for coming out with them for the day and learning from them. Just sitting in the car with them. And I've done this a few times with, new buyers agents, coming out in the car with them. It's going to really help you to learn by just sponging all of that lovely information that you can and asking those questions. But then, of course, falling in love with the process. So really important to set big goals. Set goals bigger than you dreamed of, because really anything is possible. And don't be attached to the outcome, but fall in love with the process. So set the goals, work it back, and then just focus on what you're meant to be doing every single day with your blinkers. Don't worry about anything else that's going on, what everyone else is doing, what that big number is. Just focus on the daily activity and get really focused around that. And then my tips.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Came prepared. 3 tips, very well defined. Tiffany Browne, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure, and I'm sure everyone's going to get a lot of a lot from this one. So thanks again, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks, James. Great to
No
chat.
worries.